When it comes to education, you have to ask yourself, number one, we've got the smallest school district in the region. We spend more per pupil than any other school district in the region, but we have historically the worst performing test scores. And I firmly believe it's not the teachers and it's not the kids. A significant number of families here in Washington, D.C. are broken. They have to be addressed. And they're the ones who produce kids that go to our public school system. So what I'm saying is a third of our population is functionally illiterate. Nearly half of the children born in D.C. are born into poverty, and 75% of the black men walking the streets of our city have criminal records. That speaks to where these kids come from. So if we don't address the issues in the home, we cannot expect to ever close that achievement gap. We cannot expect to stem the flow of children dropping out of school, and we cannot expect those test scores to rise. And that all plays into crime. Now, the issue with crime, I want to make sure that we bring a needs assessment into DC government. Every family that's receiving government assistance will have to take part in this program called the needs assessment. We got to find out what the issues are that keep these people trapped in poverty, whether it's illiteracy that I mentioned earlier, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's adult continuing education or the lack of vocational education for a significant population of people. We've got to find out why it is, because why it is they're trapped in poverty. I don't want people to be in public housing for generations. And that's what I found when I worked at the DC Housing Authority, that they were there, their mothers were there, and their grandmothers before them were there. Well, that's an entitlement. And we've got to end that. What public housing, in my definition, is supposed to be there for when you're down on your luck and you're just there for a certain time period. And then after you get established, you move on out into the private sector. That's what we've got to get back to. Government dependency, it damages people. I think it saps you of your will, it saps you of your dignity and your pride. And we've got to address that. And I think if we finally address that, we will reduce the crime rate in D.C. and we will also reduce the $1.5 billion a year that we spend every year on social safety net programs, because people will be going back to work. And that's very important.